Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Empowered Hearts podcast. I am Morgan. This is Crystal.
Hello, it's been a hot minute since we've done
Hi.
this.
We've been away for a couple of weeks. Nowhere exciting, but really, but just moving through different points of our lives. And
hmm
we want to share with you guys what we've been moving through and how it can be relevant to your life. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a lot of people are kind of lingering in this space from what I've, you know, listened to.
yeah.
Yeah.
In general, Crystal and I were just chatting before we pressed play. Moving through change of any sort is not easy.
hmm
Even if the change is positive, and I don't want to like relay this into my subconscious, but I will state this as something that I find challenging. I very much find any type of change challenging, even if it's good change. If I won the lottery tomorrow, I would be like, oh, like I would like choke on my words. Like I would, and not like, oh
Yeah.
my God, everything's great. Like it's like,
hmm
how do I compartmentalize that in my brain? Where does that fit in my life? And I can get very fixated on how things are. And then when things change, it's like my whole life needs to do uh, a cleanup, if you will.
Well, because it feels kind of like an earthquake
Yeah.
and it kind of rocks your foundation of what you knew to be true. And then your human existence is shooken up, and the human doesn't like that because the human attaches to safety
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel good. It's like chosen change can sometimes feel okay. Like you want to switch up your daily routine, it's in your
Mm.
control, then it feels okay. But like when something unexpectedly drops into your lap, it can be a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so Crystal and I really want to just share today with you guys, like change is beautiful and it's welcomed, right? But what happens to us when you're no longer who you used to be, but you're not yet who you want to be, or you haven't
hmm
fully manifested that idea, the things, the people that go with who you want to be in your life? What happens? And I have a favorite tarot reader I listen to all the time named Brittany Bento, and she says this sentence. It's like nobody talks about the hallway in between. I don't want to like take credit for this. Um, and when I heard her say that, I was like, oh my God, that's where
hmm
I am. I'm in the hallway in between of two worlds,
Yeah.
right? And I don't think people really talk about this. Like, what is integration? What does this look like? Like, you and I are really about helping people shed layers that don't serve them anymore, or don't part of their lives or traumas or whatever that are causing harm to their life. Okay, so we get rid of that, and then but who are we then, right? And
Yeah.
really important to integrate. And yeah, like I think if you want to share like maybe what you've
Yeah.
been going through about
What
what,
I've been moving to. Yeah.
yeah,
Like specifically, because I will talk about all of it.
sure. I mean, whatever you want, Crystal, it's your life, your story, your share.
Okay, well, I'm gonna start when I had my spiritual awakening back in 2021. Um, it was like this portal that I went into where all of a sudden I just felt like this incredible sense of inner peace. It was like nothing in my external life had shifted, but I had shifted internally. It was like I arrived at a new chapter and I quit drinking alcohol. I quit watching TV. I started meditating. I started, connecting with, at the time I didn't know was my guides or like higher consciousness, spending more time in nature. And I really got to learn what my true own frequency was. I think it was more of like a deepening of self. And then I went into a 3-year period where I connected with a person, and this is where like the deep shadow work and healing started, and I was open to energy healing and like shadow work, dark night of the soul, and it really like rumbles things up. um I ended that work last year, and since last year have kind of went, it feels like backwards in a sense. And it didn't make sense logically to me, because if people follow me on social media or know me personally, I'm a manifester. That is like really close to my heart. I practice gratitude. I, I feel like I really should be able to create a life that I envision and feels good. And it was like there was just something that was blocking me from stepping into that. It was like there was like what you said earlier, like a dark cloud hanging over your head. It was like no matter how hard I tried to find the light, there was just this darkness. And I recently, this week, actually on Monday, no, it was last week when I found out that I had entity attachments. And entity is a dark energy. This one in particular it was really, really strong, but not more powerful than your sovereign energy. But what I learned about it was that they attach to your wounds and they feed off the wounds and they amplify them. So it wasn't necessarily that there was a block in my life. It was that my core wounds of personal power and love, or self-love, if you will, love of anything, were I was like playing out the opposite of what it is that I wanted. And in a sense, it's really beautiful because it shows you um, where your shadows are. And it allows you to kind of like fast forward the experience of, shadow work and integration, because it's really actually very illuminating. But when I found out that this was happening, it was devastating. It was really earth shattering for me. I felt very betrayed. And then, like, the whole trust piece comes up. It's like, who can I trust, Um, and so this past weekend, I really had to sit with that, because from the time I found out till the time I had a ceremony to rid myself of this, it was a span of like 4 days, and I was like fighting to not give this more energy.
Yeah.
And for me, it was scary, but also empowering, because I was like, my life has been fairly good. So what is it going to be like when I'm fully freed of this?
Right.
Right? And so I had a ceremony on this Monday. And since then, I feel myself like I did back in 2021. And it is really beautiful. It's given me a lot of moments of, feels like a big exhale, like just I feel so much peace
Yeah.
within. And at the same time, I don't even know who I am. It's like my life that I knew last week doesn't fit how I feel this week. The
Yeah.
hallway. It's the hallway.
I've been in a hallway for about a year, um, moving out of my old life into my new one, but like my new life has not fully manifested because I'm still dealing with pieces of the old life, right? And this is what happens, right? It's like, let's say you leave a relationship or go through like a divorce or something. Like that doesn't just happen in a moment. It's not just, it's
No.
like, okay, like, yes, you're getting a divorce, but then there's like, where do I live? Or like, where does the partner live? And like, so like, there's like steps. So it's like the energetic step. We have decided to get a divorce. Like, let's just say this is an example. Then there's the next step. Well, what are we going to do? Who's going to live where? Okay. But then there's that decision. So these are the energetic pieces. But then the physical
Hmm.
and then it's like getting comfortable living somewhere, moving. Who am I without this person? Like there's all these pieces. And let's say this divorce is complete. Now you have to move on with your life. But that's like coming out of the womb. You're like
Yeah.
a raw baby. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Right? So, yes, the divorce is complete. And yes, you're technically in your new life, but there are now things to create in that life. And those things don't always come the second we get a divorce, right?
And I can really relate to this because I walked through this. It was like it's like a moment of freedom where you're like, ah, like I'm free from this, but you're not because there's so many wounds attached to it. There's so many identities,
Yeah.
like you
Yes.
said, attached to that you're gonna go through a million ego deaths.
It's the identity, my identity. That's what I moved through last year. My identity completely changed. And yes, it's for the better, right? Your divorce. Yes,
Yeah.
that's for the better. But you're
Yeah.
like, whoa, like if you change jobs, like maybe you were at a job and you really like identified with that role, it's not as simple as just like, well, now I'm doing this. Like maybe it is for some people, but not in my experience. Like it is like we really like sink our teeth into things,
We do.
and for good reason. Like perhaps there's love attached to it, and you know it's meaningful. So then just to like uproot your life, it's like, well, wait a second, like who am I now? And when we don't know who we are, that's scary. Like it's freaking scary.
We talked about this because both you and I were feeling the exact same way the other day. And it's like once you've pulled all the anchors up, like let's say you're a ship on the ocean and you've been suspended and anchored into this one port. When you pull that anchor, so let's say that was the relationship or the job, or for me, like the entity attachment or whatever, you pull that anchor up and now you've sailed out somewhere. You do not know your surroundings. You do not know where you are. It's like you are there, but nothing is the same.
Yeah,
And the human only feels safe when there is some kind of anchor.
yeah.
Like you could still be in the same house.
Hmm.
Okay. So that technically would be kind of an anchor, but the house feels different, you
Yeah.
know?
And so what do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do when our lives change? And really, this comes back to the work of being safe in your body,
Yeah.
being safe within yourself. Because when we feel like everything is different, like our ego's like, or like our ego's searching now, what will happen if you're not conscious of this is your ego will attach to old patterns, right? It'll be like, well, I don't know what to do. I'm going to be anxious. I don't know what to do, so I'm going to be depressed. I don't know what to do, so I'm going to obsessively think about that person or whatever your
Yep.
thing is, like, because the ego wants to feel something, like some type of belonging. And it's the
Mhm.
hardest thing ever is to just be like, I just feel empty. Like I don't have an attachment, and that's scary. And it's like
Yeah.
reminding yourself, and this can be done like, through different practices, but like being at home in your body, right?
Mhm.
And like that can be done like through yoga or through somatic work or through hypnosis or energy healing or whatever, or mirror work. Like there are different ways, but it's like helping your nervous system remember that like it's safe,
Yeah.
even if you're going through a divorce, or it's safe, even if, you have no
Mhm.
job anymore or whatever. It's like we're moving on, but we're in the interim. And
Yeah. And the interim can feel very much like you're just suspended in air.
yeah.
It feels like there's no ground beneath your feet, but there is, like
Just
There is your soul knows where you are.
there's just no roots yet.
Yeah, your soul knows you're good.
Yeah.
We're headed over here. Like in order to get from here to here, there has to be change and travel in between, right? Like you're good. And it's like one step at a time,
Mhm.
you know? It's just reminding yourself that change is good.
Mhm.
Change is always good, and we are safe in the change. Now, when you're like growing up in maybe like childhood where you didn't feel safe and it makes you a little bit of a like hyper control freak, that can be harder to integrate change
Well, I will speak,
also.
you know, I can speak on that personally. I grew up in a household of chaos, in trauma, in a family of addiction, right? And so, yeah, change to me is like is really unsafe.
Hmm.
And that's like even if it's good change, because I'm like, well, am I gonna die? And
Yeah.
it like comes up. I had a therapist tell me once, she's like, you you could what was like you could have an anxiety disorder. And I was like, well, I'm like, is it an anxiety disorder or was this just truth as a child? I said, as a child, anything I do, anything that changed, she said I had a panic disorder because I'd freak out when anything changed. And I said, but like, so is this technically a panic disorder? Is maybe it is, but I'm like, or is it that my inner child didn't know safety, and so now when something changes, it only thinks that I'm going to die because really growing
Yeah.
up, my mother being an alcoholic and the household being unsafe, I thought I was going to die,
Yeah.
right? And that gets lodged in the subconscious, especially if we don't do the work. It gets lodged in the body
Yep.
and energetically, and it's like, so then, yeah, we respond in the now, but from that wound, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that wound is what's playing out.
Mhm.
And that is like kind of the golden ticket because we we really can resist any feelings other than good.
Yeah.
And those feelings, all they're doing is it's like what Abraham Hicks says, it's your emotional guidance system.
Yes.
Your emotions are communicating with you that there's something here that needs to be looked at. Right? And so we get that. We get that because we understand the way that the shadow works. And sometimes, like, we take it to the extreme. It's like, I'm feeling off today. Like, let's have a 45-minute conversation about this and get to the root because there's got to be something underneath it.
But we have
Um,
bad wounds, so what do you expect?
yeah, there's that too. But it's like, for you, you know, the shadow would be exactly your inner child doesn't feel safe when change is taking place. So how do we integrate the inner child? We continuously connect with the inner child and remind her, we listen to her, we give her an energetic hug, and we say, like, we got this.
Yeah.
You can trust me. I've got you.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of people listening, if they have kids, if your kid is upset or feeling scared, you're going to console your kid. Your inner child needs that too.
Yes.
Because and this is going a little bit quantum, but you this is how the title takes place: wherever you go, there you are. From baby to now, you're still all that. That's still all part of you.
Okay.
It's not like you grow up and the little child goes away. Like that's all of you now right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've talked about parts work before, and like
Yeah.
parts of us will get frozen in time,
Hmm.
right? So when trauma happens, and I say the word trauma, and I'm going to use it like
Yeah,
a
give an example kind of.
because I'm not just meaning big T.
Yeah.
I'm, when we're like small traumas, right? And everybody experiences small trauma, and
Yeah.
small trauma can be something as little as like, I always use this example. Um, you being like 7 and your dad's never home for dinner, and it just, the seeing that pattern play out over and over and over again, you take the truth on of my dad doesn't love me, men don't, men are no good,
They're not here.
not here, men are not here to stay, and then you're now 25, 30, and you constantly date men that leave you. And you're
Yeah.
like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Well, what's happening is that that 7-year-old is playing out. I know this is so backwards, like, this is a bad thing, but this is what happens is the 7-year-old is attracting in partners subconsciously
Like a mirror.
like a mirror that are going to leave you. So, and the reason of this is because, and this is quantum too, but the soul wants to heal.
Yeah.
So what happens is these wounds get louder and louder. You attract a bigger asshole of a partner, of someone that really screws you over and really leaves you. And so, and the reframe here is not why is this happening to me, is what is my role in this? And it's
Yeah.
always like that pill, when you got to swallow that pill, like, why am I attracting this in? It's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's what you need to do is integrate the shadow of that 7-year-old who saw her dad leave and remind her that she's okay and safe, and that what he did was projected onto you. It's not truth. Truth, when we're
Yeah.
younger, right, comes in as unfiltered. Because when we're kids, we don't see things as a perspective, right? We
Yeah.
don't have the larger perspective. It's very cut and dry. It's like,
Yeah.
my dad's not here, men leave me.
Yeah.
Period. It's not, oh, he had to work.
Belief locked in the subconscious.
Yep, right in there.
So
And
you know how they say you attract who you are?
yeah,
That is actually what this is.
let's talk about that. And I know this is like
Yeah.
not anything to do with integration, but
It's
let's,
all a part of it though.
yeah. I actually I hosted a group yesterday, and I got into this because if you're trying, I want to use that word lightly, but if you are manifesting a business, like let's say if you're an entrepreneur and you're at the beginning stages, and those beginning stages can have different timelines for everybody, right? And with everything, you will attract who you are.
Mm,
And people are always like, well, what? Not what you want,
yeah.
right? So if who you are is a 7-year-old looking out to say that like men leave me, that's what you're going to bring in. Like this, I don't know why this took me years to
Yeah.
under like,
Yeah.
and now it's so easy. I'm like, well, duh, just be awesome and everything's great.
Yeah. Just be awesome. Wake up awesome.
Can you talk about that a little bit about the mirror? Because I feel like
Yeah.
it's kind of a hard thing to digest.
Well, it can be, but it also brings the power back into you because the patterns playing out. If you look at your life as recurring incidences that have the same theme, that is a really good point to look at your life and be like, okay, let's go a little deeper here. Because sometimes, like a lot of good things can happen to you, and that's also you too, right? But when we look at our life as a victim, and not saying that in a negative way, and we allow ourselves to see it for what it actually is, which is one of the hardest things that we can do is face the mirror.
Mhm.
It's facing the mirror. Okay. We can use like a light example. Let's say that somebody is um er, this is going a little bit off the attraction and more of like a question. So let's say this person drinks every day and they enjoy alcohol. Sure. But the question in their mind keeps coming up like, is this a problem? Like, am I an alcoholic? And they ask someone,
Mm.
am I an alcoholic? And that person goes, yeah, I think you are. Now, how you receive that, it can either disempower you or it can empower you. That is the mirror. So it's like when you're looking at your life as I'm attracting this, it puts the power back into your hands so that you can change what you're attracting into your life. So, money, let's talk about money scarcity. Isn't that the topic that you did yesterday?
Yeah, letting go of money blocks, right? But it's like money blocks are really not have anything to do with money, right?
No, it never does though.
No.
But if you believe that, and maybe you've learned it, again, this can be a childhood thing, you never have enough.
That's literally, yeah. Yeah.
If you believe that, but like
Mhm.
your mind is like, I don't believe that. But every time you go to pay for something, you check your account balance. Or every time a bill comes up, it's like you feel this contraction in your body. Like your body's going to tell you what your belief is. That is another beautiful thing about our emotions, our guidance system. When you face that mirror and be like, you know what, actually, I'm really scared of money. Money scares me. I feel like I never have enough. I feel like I'm never gonna have enough. It's like, why do I feel this way? Well, maybe you grew up in a house where that was the truth.
Mhm.
So, how can we, soothe the inner child or teach the inner child different rules, different beliefs around money so that we can change that within you through hypnosis, probably one of the best ways that you can do it. The fastest way, absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, so that you feel differently about it and that the mirror can bring abundance into your life.
Yeah, and like I'm gonna also say this. We do have all these subconscious beliefs from childhood. And if we're gonna talk about money, then there is this bullshit of society, showing us that that is truth as well. Like
Yeah.
there's not enough. Like groceries, we're tight, we don't have enough, we don't, and it's like that's actually not true.
No.
If you look at the universe, right? Like let's like we look
Expand
have
outwards.
to zoom out for a sec. Because if
Yeah.
you're zoomed into life, into the matrix of life, what I'm gonna say is not gonna make sense. So we have to like take a deep breath for a second, remember that we're on a floating bulb,
Hmm.
okay, middle of whatever, and that
Yeah.
there's a whole, go ahead.
No, I just said yeah.
There's like this whole other thing going on aside from the grocery store and the prices there, right? So let's zoom out and remember that this universe, this earth that we're on, and this earth is like a hair in the universe.
Hmm.
And you remember how many blades of grass there are, and how many pieces of sand there are in this earth, and how many trees and birds and humans there are.
Hmm.
Okay? Plants, water, not like in nature, if you look at nature, there's always enough. It's
Always.
matrix of we are humans and we go to a 9 to 5 job and blah, 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 and there is not enough money. Money is literally nothing other than an energetic currency. Like
Oh.
it's like well, but it's like when people are like, but it's not enough. I only make $20 an hour. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, okay, but what are your other options? Like people don't think outside this like little bubble of like, but like I have to pay my bills and like I've got to pay my taxes and da 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 da. And it's
It's hard to break out of that.
like that is true
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that is true and there's not that is true period. Like there's an and that is true. Groceries prices are
Yeah.
insane. Everything's pricey. Okay. And you also are a creative being that can do anything they want. So what
Everyone on this earth has a talent.
everyone, right?
Everybody.
And so really what I was teaching yesterday was reminding people of like their why that they started
Hmm.
this business. Because if you want to be a spiritual entrepreneur, this is going off topic, but we don't do it for money. And if you do it for money, just own that. Like it's really clearing up any shadow around that. But
Yeah.
most spiritual entrepreneurs become spiritual entrepreneurs because they want to change this world in some way.
Yeah.
And and again, it's like remembering your why and being grateful for what you have now because the universe will respond to your heart. So
Yeah.
anything that you believe subconsciously is what your life's going to look like. So if you believe like, oh, like I'm never going to make any more money, like I have to work harder, guess what? That is what is going to happen.
It's
If you
your mirror.
That's your mirror,
Mhm.
right? If
Yep.
you believe like I'm not worthy of a relationship, guess what? That's what's going to be happening in your life.
If you have always believed that the ones you love abandon you, guess what? You're getting more of that too.
Yeah. And it,
And sorry,
no, go ahead.
one thing that I really love to remind people is that money is shown to us in paper.
Hmm.
That is printed, people, printed, okay? But not just that. All it is a number on a device.
Right.
It's just a number.
It's just, and numbers, like I was going to say numbers are made up, but they're not really because it's part of the universal code. But it is
It's
all,
how we feel about the number. It's
yeah.
how we feel about it. That's the real truth when it comes to belief is noticing when you make $2,000 not enough
Yeah.
or when you make $200, oh my God, this is amazing. Like if your bills were coming due on the 5th and your bills are $3,000 and you have $2,000 in your bank account, $2,000 is going to feel like nothing before you even get there. But if you're walking down the street and you find $20 on the street, it's the best day of your life.
Mhm.
It's all perspective. It's all how we feel about it and what we believe. And that is how you can really understand your mirror.
Mhm. And working with your own mirror is really powerful in integration, right?
Yeah.
In this hallway portal. And let me just say this, and I don't want to scare people, but this is like I want to validate and also share that an integration period, if you've really decided like I'm changing my life, integration can be like a couple of years to fully change, right?
Yeah.
To fully get rid of the old and to fully become I mean, but like in the integration period, the new will start to flow in. It's not like you have to wait a couple of years and then one thing comes. It's during the integration, new comes, but to fully make the shift from out of the old in the hallway into the new 100%, it can take some years. And so,
You wouldn't want it overnight.
no, we think we do, right? But it's like,
It would be like, I want to have a baby. You wake up the next day and you're 9 months pregnant. Like,
a good
no.
example.
There's a reason why there's 9 months. Okay. Like it's all about time. Not in a linear sense, but like it's gradual so that we can adjust to change because, when they made this earth, I think they knew that the human doesn't like it. I would like to think that.
I would like to think that too.
But the integration period is just it can feel lonely.
Yes.
It can feel
Talk
like
about that.
isolation is the word that I like to use because it's like, and the reason why we feel that way is because as we connect with the things that we know, it feels different. It doesn't feel the same in our experience. It's like things start to feel different. You start to question them. Does this still fit in my life? Like, do I still want this?
Yeah.
And question is also really unearthing for us because it makes us feel indecisive. It can make us feel scared, you know?
And what can also happen is when people are like, okay, I'm going to change. I'm going to change. And then they get into this integration period. And then they're like, this is too much. And they go backwards,
Yep.
you know? Um, it can feel too much. It can feel like I can't do this. I can't change. I can't sit in the lonely. I can't sit in the discomfort. Sitting in the discomfort is your fucking golden key
Yeah.
to your life because
Mhm.
what it does is it shows you again your mirror of
Yeah.
what is coming up for you. What does lonely mean to you? What
Mhm.
does being alone mean? What does change mean? And it's like, I know in this moment that that can feel so real and overwhelming. And I'm not discounting that. We have to sit in that and then make a step forward, even if it's a small step, right?
Yeah.
So whatever integration period you are in and whatever feelings do come up, it's letting them be present because by moving through them, not avoiding, but by moving through whatever comes up is how you get to the other side, right?
Hmm.
It's like that's why the saying is like the only way out is through,
True.
right? You
Yeah.
can't open a new door if you don't look at all the things that are coming up in between. And people often are like, this is too much.
Yeah.
I'm going back. And they do, and then they're back in the pattern. They're back dating that same guy. They're back drinking. They're whatever, because the integration, the time in the hallway is too fucking much. And it can feel that way. Like I'm validating. I get it.
It's true. And the problem with going back is that there's going to come a point when that cycle becomes so in your face.
Oh,
And this
yeah.
is where people,
Mm.
will hit rock bottom,
Yep.
or there's going to be a really huge something that takes place because your job on this earth is to evolve. And if you're not doing it, the universe is going to make damn sure that you are getting pushed through it. And that feels worse.
That's terrible. That is that is the like it happened to me last year.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
knew in my heart of hearts, like, you know, what I was doing wasn't working, but and so I left it up to the the universe, and boy, did it
Were you, so what you were doing wasn't working. Was it the fear of what was on the other side of that that
well, I
kept
didn't have
you?
a solution. Like
Yeah.
there
We
was
never do.
no, there was
We,
just like I don't think I had enough confidence, and
yeah.
I think I needed to meet my shadows, those shadows specifically. And there was no way I was going to meet the shadows of feeling lost,
Hmm.
lonely, and um untethered in any other way aside from being lost, lonely, and untethered. There was no
Yeah.
way for me to actually meet those three monsters, which were actually my friends, unless I met them in a raw state. And I had
Yeah.
to meet them dead in the face.
Yeah.
And because I've run from them before, I've manifested this scenario more than once of like me wanting to pursue something in my life, but being too scared, not thinking I was worthy, not going ahead and doing it. And literally, like I have a bump on my head from when it happened last time. I don't know if anybody can see. I
You
got
can't really
knocked
see it in this light.
Yeah, I got physically knocked out and my head was cracked open and I was put off my day job. And I was like, and I was just starting my business and it was like, here's an opportunity like I didn't have to like quit my job, but I was like, well, I can't do the new thing. There's no way. I'm like, I can't do that. And so what did I do? In integration, I went backwards and a couple of years later, here we are again. And I chose differently. And so, so like I know the integration of facing feeling like alone, lost, and untethered, meaning like not having anything for your ego to sink into, not like
Yeah.
ridding yourself of identity
Yeah.
is, is like, oh, like I feel you got like I get it and but I did it and my whole existence has changed because of
Hmm.
that. Like I still move through moments of mental health from what happened to me last year and it's not been easy at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did though meet fear in the face so vividly.
Yeah.
And I didn't run.
Well, and I'm so proud of you for that. You have been through hell and high water, let's say,
Thank you.
you know, and you've really had a huge evolution.
Yeah.
So you talk about being in the hallway, it's like, yeah, because there was so many big pieces that moved in that time. And I really feel like your three biggest wounds that you did have to meet straight in the face reminds me of the quote, when you ask God for strength, God doesn't give you strength. He gives you reasons to learn how to be strong. And that is truly, there's so much truth to that because if we go a little bit quantum again, when we come to this earth, we come with a plan. There are going to be certain life lessons that we have come to learn. So, independency, maybe. If you are codependent, independency is your life lesson. Um, Scarcity. Okay. So, you've come with scarcity, and your life lesson is abundance. Love. Like all your relationships reflect abandonment, lack of love,
Mhm.
it's self-love. It's like these lessons that you've come here to learn, and so that is the whole point of this,
Yeah.
right? And so we get really, really scared of the shadow work, of the death, and we resist it. And it's like when you see it playing out from a higher perspective and understand that when you go through a dark night of the soul or a ego death, it's actually serving you to get you to where you want to be.
Mhm.
It's like that old part of you cannot come along here. You cannot have a business that you are creating if you don't feel okay being untethered or independent,
Yeah.
right? Because there's no safety net. You are walking your own path. You created this business. This is your baby. Nobody's done it. This is yours. You have no idea
Yeah.
what's next for you. So you have to get so comfortable in the blind faith and
Yeah.
trust that, you know, I'm being pulled in this direction for a reason. I trust because it feels right.
Yeah. Self-trust, that's a whole thing, but trusting that things are going to work out is one of the hardest
Hmm.
things to integrate. Like, and
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever fully do. I'd say it becomes easier. Like now, like, I mean, last year, every minute of the day, like earlier on last year, like let's say April, May, June, like that part, every minute of the day, I was in a panic state because
Yeah.
it was like, well, like how is this going to work out? How? And it's like every day, every moment, the 1,000 moments in the day that I had to meet that question, I had to remember that I don't know how, that I don't have that answer.
That's the answer.
The answer is you don't know how. You
You
have to
never do.
trust
Yeah.
that it's going to be better than your mind can conjure up. And your mind is like this big compared to life. But we
Yeah.
forget that. We're like, but like it's got to be da, 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 da. And you're like, you actually block yourself
Yeah.
with your mind. When you try to come up with a plan, and I say that in quotations,
Yeah.
oh, it's going to work out like this and like this and like this. I wouldn't have met Jason if this didn't happen. Like, let's just talk about that.
Yeah. It's true.
I went on, like, aside from my guides pulling in and telling me to get on online dating, which I know sounds crazy, but like this is what happened, is I woke up one morning and I had this like strong message to go on online dating. And I was like, no, like I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no. And it was like my guides were like, the way I can hear my guides will come through verbally as like a yes and a no. Like I can't make them do that, but if like you're like you often will be like, can you give me an answer? Ask your guides. And I have to like let go and like let them come through, or my
Mhm.
guides will come through in like a knowing. So it's like I
Yeah.
know I have to do something and it's like pulling at me. And so that's what happened this one morning. And I was like, online dating, like
Yeah.
on. And I was like, okay, fine. I'm like, you know what? Because I was like, well, what? Because like then the mind, well, how and why and what am I going to do this for and who am I going to meet? And it was just like I had to let go of that, and I was like, I'm just going to do this for my nervous system to help me be around people and get used to dating. Like
You had to give yourself a reason
I
though to
had
make
to.
it okay.
I
But
had
that's how
to.
that's you. That's like your I
That's
don't
how
know
I
what
am.
part. Yeah.
I have to always come up with like a scenario.
Yeah.
You have to like my ego has to come up with something
Yeah.
of like something to hook on to, but it's like, okay, fine. It's like kind of the unknown. I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing this for this reason. I've just like made it up.
Yeah.
And
You like your guides are telling you to do it and you're like, fine.
I'll do it only if it's my way. Like I
Yeah.
can make it like my own.
Yeah.
The only child syndrome coming through. Um, but yeah, I don't know how I got onto this topic.
Okay, so yeah, you went online dating and you met this one guy you were supposed to go on a date with.
but I
Remember?
didn't. Okay, so let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Here's like a fun story for anyone that wants to hear this. Just like a fun story of how our spirit guides can and how the universe works. So months and months and months, I don't know, like a year ago or whatever, I did this like I guess a meditation. What would you like this? It was Ariel's
Transmission.
a transmission. So
Hmm.
it's called your soulmate transmission. Basically, what it was doing was calling in your soulmate. Okay. So I
Yeah.
did this thing, I listened to it, and because I can see visions in my third eye, I got downloads and visions of me meeting an Australian man in the forest behind my house. And I was like, "Oh my God, like my soulmate's Australian, like blah blah, blah. This is okay, great." And then I forgot about it, like whatever. Like that was like a year ago. So I go on, I'm like, okay, my guides are like, let's go on online dating. I'm like, okay, like whatever. So I do this, and an Australian guy
Yeah.
messages me, and he's like spiritual and like everything my ego thought would be a good idea. Okay, it was
Yeah.
like a spiritual man eats organic food, like I don't know, like
Plays the didgeridoo.
yeah, plays the
Drinks
didgeridoo,
kombucha.
like drinks kombucha, like squirts
Yeah.
kombucha from his nipples, like like lived off grid, like builds houses with his bare hands and practices yoga, and like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my,
Oh my.
like, and then he's like, let's
Oh,
meet up, like let's go for a walk, is there a forest behind your house? And I was like, oh my God, like it's here, I've manifested it.
I remember this.
And then
Yeah.
he bails last minute, and I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
I
Like
know.
my spirit got like I had this vision. Like, what do you mean he's bailing? Like, and oh my,
Oh,
the shadows I had to meet when that happened.
I know. You were so hurt.
I
And
was
then then you go into like your Scorpio and you're like pissed off.
well because I was hurt. I wasn't even
I
hurt
know.
that I was hurt because I had this whole backstory of like this is it. And like, how could you ditch me? What do you mean? Like, my spirit guides have showed me clearly, like, I have a vision. You're fucking with my vision now.
Yeah.
So it didn't make sense. Here's what I've learned. Spirit, your guides, and the universe sometimes only shows you partly of what you need to know.
Peace.
A piece. You don't like when you go see a psychic, you're sometimes you get a piece of it. You don't see the full picture. So long story short, I was talking to like I had one other person that I was talking to, and it was Jason. And he had happened to, in that day, like he had given me his phone number, and I don't know if he knows this, so if he hears this, oh well. I didn't want to message him while I was talking to somebody else because that's just not how I am.
Yeah.
So after I messaged him, and it was like the easiest path of least resistance relationship,
Hmm.
right? And I'm like, okay, so this is like a really random story that this is
No, I
just
love it. I love it.
entertainment purposes that people will
Yeah.
enjoy. But here is why I shared this meeting Jason, because this is the most beautiful relationship I've ever experienced. I am learning how to really truly experience unconditional love
Hmm.
with a man in partnership, in a conscious partnership, which I've never had. And he is everything I could have ever wanted. And we literally live 20 minutes away. We would have never bumped into each other. Like anyways, I could go on and on about this, but the reason I'm sharing this is these things that happen, right, to us, for
Hmm.
us, this blow up that I had last year of my life, of my ego, if I didn't face the darkness in this integration period, I wouldn't be who I am right now. And then I
Hmm.
would not have been a match to meet Jason.
Yep.
And so this is how, when we're like, well, how am I going to create my new life? Integrate all of the ugly pieces that are coming up through
Yep.
shadow work. You can do that in energy healing, hypnosis, coaching. There's different tools. Face your shit because on the
Hmm.
other side of facing that is beauty.
Yeah.
And that's
And
my TED
and I
Talk.
just want to talk about the Australian guy quickly because that did bring up a lot of shadows for you.
Tons,
Yeah. And
tons.
there was one point where you're like, like, is this okay that he ditches me for his friend? I was like, no, it's not okay. Like, no.
It was the codependency, people
Right.
pleaser, shadow of and wanting to be wanted by somebody that didn't want me. And that is
Yep.
childhood wounds.
Yep. And it was training you because they say the universe isn't testing us, it's training us to be who we say we want to be. And so it was training you to stand in your power,
Yes.
which is what you did. And you just
Yep.
said, like, no, like, I'm not doing this.
Yep.
And then Jason come along.
And Crystal said this beautiful saying to me. We can end with this unless you have anything else to share. She was like, I was like, is this it? Like, I don't understand. And she's like, what did you say? He was, so what the universe did when they showed me this vision of meeting this Australian man in the forest is birds before land.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. So like it means you're really close to
Yeah.
your manifestation coming through. And
Yep.
it's a really good thing to use for yourself if
Yep.
you are moving through a painful portal of integration. Like what is right? Even if it's not fully landing, okay, I was given an opportunity. It wasn't the opportunity, but I was given an opportunity. Okay, birds before land. It's
Yep.
coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's closer than you realize.
It means that you're really close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved when you told me that. I was like, yes, okay. Because I like needed to make sense of this somehow.
And it was fast.
It was like, it was like within days.
Yeah. It was fast. So, birds before land. Yeah.
This was so nice. We missed this so much. And
Hmm.
thank you guys for listening. And I would love if you guys, if anybody wants to write in, if there's anything anybody wants us to talk about. We actually had somebody write in suggesting a guest whom we actually are going to have on our next episode. She is a medium, which I'm like, this is so cool because I'm
Yeah.
also a medium, but I don't fully use my abilities on purpose. But yeah, if there's anything that anybody wants us to talk about, share, or have anybody on,
Hmm.
you're open for suggestion.
Absolutely, we are.
And we would
Yeah.
love if you guys would rate us and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and that would be great.
Lovely.
Okay, we will see you. I think we're going to do next week, so we will see you next week. And until then, stay safe and continue integrating the shit that comes up because it is for you, it's not against you.
Exactly. And if you need support, you can reach out to us.
Yes.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.